Hello and welcome now to lecture 7. And in this lecture let's go ahead and start modelling our house. Let's make a start on this. So the first thing we actually need to do is bring in our reference images to make sure that we have the correct dimensions on this house. We have something to reference from and to scale from. And to do that, as you'll see on the Udemy page, you'll see there on the course contents, you'll see that attached to this lecture you have a resource pack, and in that resource pack there are the images you need. So you can go ahead and open that file and go ahead and download and save to wherever you want to. So let's go ahead and make a start. So I'll click anywhere to get rid of our splash screen, and I'm going to make a selection box by holding down the left mouse button and just select everything and delete. So we've got an absolutely empty screen and we start building from here. This is my favorite bit. I love this because everything starts from an empty screen, and I find that so cool that when we finish we've got this amazing looking house, photorealistic, but it all starts from an empty screen. I love that. Sorry, I'm digressing a bit. I'll go back to what we're doing. So the first thing I actually want to do is go ahead up to the outliner and click on collection, and I want to make a new file. So I'll hit the plus sign there on the file. I'll double click on this, and I'm going to rename this reference images. There we go, and just click off. And make sure that it's in blue, that you actually have that selected. And now as we import our images, they'll drop straight into that file. So now that I've done that, let's go ahead and bring in our first image. So I'll press Shift A, I'll come down to Image, and I'll click on Reference, and I'll find where my images are. And House Layout References, and I'm just going to bring in the ground floor one to begin with, and add empty image, and there we go. That's perfect. So it's brought it in on a bit of a funky angle, so we'll just deal with that quickly. So I'll press N, and here on the rotation I'll just make that 0, enter, and 0, enter, and 0, enter, and that's brought that in now absolutely fine. But that scale is not correct. As you can see, we have some dimensions on this plan, but this plan is currently not to scale. It's not 1:1, and that's what I need this plan to be, 1:1. So we can deal with that. So what I'm going to do now is bring in a cube, and I'm going to make that cube 6.75 meters by 19.85 meters, and then we'll scale the plan up until it's the same size as our cube, and then we know that that's absolutely correct. So let's do that first. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and name this. So I'll name this, call this ground floor plan, there we go. And now let's go ahead and bring in a cube. So I'll press Shift A and Mesh and Cube. And we don't need to be in solid mode now. We can go ahead and make this wireframe for a while, but rather than going all the way up here and clicking on this, I'm going to show you a shortcut for that. So I'm just going to press Z on the keyboard and click on wireframe. There we go. So I'll press 7 to see this, 7 on the numpad to see this in the orthographic view. And now let's go ahead and scale this up. So first of all, let's work in the x-axis on the red line here. So here on the dimensions, the x is right there. It's currently 2 meters, and we need to make it 19.85. So I'll delete the 2 and I'll make 19.85, enter. And there we go. That's the correct length of the house, the actual 1:1 length of the house. So now we need to make it 6.75 in the y. So let's do that. 6.75, enter. And that's it. That cube is now the correct size of our house. So I'll press 7 again on the numpad to get us in the orthographic view. I'll select our plan, and I'll just hit S for scale, and I'll bring this up. There we go. So what you can see here, this outer shape, that's the sort of the garden wall, the main border wall of the whole garden. This rectangular here is the pool, and this is our wall outline. So this is the thing that needs to be the same size as this cube. And then we need to line it up with the cube as well. So I'll hit S and I'll scale it up a bit more. I'll make sure that the move is selected, and I'll bring it over on the X axis. And actually that's really good already. I'll bring it down on the Y. And there we go. That's good. That's actually perfect. That's great. So now really we need to know the height of this cube, and it's not shown on this plan, so we need to bring in another plan. So what I'll do is I'll press Shift A, and I'll bring in an image, and I'll bring in reference image, and I'll bring in front elevation and click Add Empty. And there it is. And I'll make sure on the rotations the X is in the 0, the Y is in the 0, and the Z, I'll make that in the 0 as well. There we go. Now I need to rotate it so it's standing up. So to do that, I'm going to press R and X to rotate it on the X axis, and I'll type 9, 0, enter. There we go. So now that's rotated 90 degrees in the X axis. Obviously the scale's out, so I guess that's the next thing we need to do, so we can go ahead and scale that. So I'll press 1 on a numpad to make sure that we see that orthographically, and I'll go ahead and press S and scale that up. I'll do a bit more until I need this line here and this line here to line up with our cube. So I'll bring that up, bring this over, maybe scale it down a little bit more, and there we go. And what we can take note of now is the height of this ground floor, which is 3 meters and 40. So that's what I want to do next. I want to go ahead and make our cube 3 meters and 40 in the Z axis. So I've selected the cube, and here in the Z I will press 3.04, enter. And now that cube is the correct height. What I'm going to do is press 1 again on a numpad to see this from the front, and I'm going to bring the cube up until it's level with our X axis, the red line, because that's our ground level. And there we go. So that cube is now absolutely accurate. And we can double check that actually. What I'm going to do is go ahead and hide these images for a minute. So I'll grab this image and let's go ahead and name this one first. So I'll call this front elevation plan. There we go. And now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and hide it. And I'll go ahead and hide this one as well, so we just have the cube for a moment. And now I'm going to show you the measure tool, which is, it's a little bit tricky to get the hang of, but once you do, it's really good. So I'll click on the measure tool, which is right here on the tab. And I'll go ahead and just hold down Control, and then I'll press the left mouse button, which has made it snap to that corner, and then I'll hold onto the Control and then snap to this one. And that is correct. I remember that from memory. 6.75 is the correct width of that cube. So that's absolutely perfect. We can do that again. So I'll go ahead and just hold down the left mouse button, create a line, create a measurement, hold Control now and snap it to this corner. Now I can actually just grab this corner again now, hold Control and snap it to that one. And 19.85, that's correct as well. And I'll do the same thing one last time. I'll hold down Shift, I'll just press down the left mouse button. I'll hold down Control and snap to that corner. And it's 11 meters because it hasn't snapped to that bottom corner. It's doing weird things, so I'll grab it. I'll hold down Control and I'll snap it to there. And that's 3 meters and 40. So that's absolutely perfect. They can be a little bit tricky to delete, but if you just hover over the line and then left click and then press X for delete and press X again. Do the same and do the same. There we go. And I'll go over back to the move tool and we're absolutely happy that that cube is the correct size. let's go ahead and bring back our ground floor plan now. And we're happy that that's in the correct position. No more to be done to that one. But I do want to play around with how the image looks. So I'll come down to here, to data, and I'm going to click on opacity. I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to bring this down, which is going to make our image translucent. Oh, we're in the front plan. I apologise. I want this one, which I've locked. I want the front elevation. I want the ground floor plan. Sorry. And now let's turn that on. And now let's bring this down to about half like that. There we go. And the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that it's not visible from the underside, so that it's not, so I can see it from this side but not this side. So here on the side elevation there, go ahead and click on front. And now it's visible from this side, which we do need, but it's not visible from this side, so we can see through it from the back face. There we go, that's perfect. With that done, I'm going to actually click this little arrow here in the outliner on the ground floor plan so that we can't accidentally grab that plan. That plan is now locked. Okay, so let's grab this one now, and we'll press 1 to see it from the front. And let's see what we need to do with this plan. So I see I need to take it up. So I'll go ahead and do that. And that's actually working out really nicely. I need to scale it down slightly in the X. So I'll press S and X and just bring that. That's perfect just there. Whoops, slipped. There we go. That's absolutely fine. So let's go ahead and make this one translucent now. So I'll select this one. And let's bring the opacity down on this one, as I was doing a minute ago, accidentally. Let's do it right this time. So I'll bring it down about halfway. And now I don't want to see it from this side, I just want to see it from this side. But actually, yes, so let's go ahead and press front on that as well. So now we can see it from this side, but not from this side. Now let's press 7. And let's go ahead and bring this image back until it lines up with the back of the plan like this. There we go, that's perfect. And now that we've done that, let's go ahead and hit the little arrow on that to hide that one too, to lock that one as well. Okay, now that we've done those two, let's go ahead and just hide those. So I'll just press the little eyeballs on those. And actually we can name this cube as well. So I'll go ahead and click on this. And I'll call this reference cube, or just reference cube, ref cube, there we go. And that's the name now. Let's go over to reference image here in the outliner, click on that, and let's press Shift A and bring in a final reference image, and that is first floor, so I'll click on that and add image. And there we go. And let's sort out the rotations, so we'll press 0, enter, 0, enter, and 0, enter. There we go. So let's press 7 to see that from above. And to scale this one now, we can actually scale this one off our ground floor plan. So I'll click on that one just to make that visible again. And let's go ahead and press S and scale this up. And let's press S and scale it up a little more. And what we basically need to do now is line up this garden wall with each other. And then when that's done, these scales are correct. So I'll bring this forward like this. And just bring it over on the X slightly. And it's already pretty close actually. We'll scale it up a tiny bit. Maybe bring it down a little bit. And there we go. Let's take that up in the Z axis. And that's absolutely perfect. So I'll just press 1 so we can see that from the front view now. And I'll make sure that this plan is just sitting on top of our cube because this is the start of the first floor. There we go. That's absolutely perfect. And yes, the first floor is slightly larger than the ground floor, but that's intentional. That's the way the house is supposed to be built. And with that done now, let's go ahead and fix that one. So let's come on over to the opacity, and with the plan selected, of course, just bring this down to around half. And on this side here, click front, so we can't see it from the underside. And there we go. And let's name this one, of course. So I'll click on it, and I'll call this first floor. Plan. And there we go. And let's go ahead and lock that. And that's our reference images all in. There we go. Sorted. So let's go ahead and save our progress so far. So let's go over to File and Save As. And you can go ahead and save it wherever you want, in whichever file you want. And I'm going to call this House. Whoops. And I'm just going to call it 1. There we go. And go ahead and save as. So in the next lecture, what I think we'll do is I think we will start building our ground floor walls. We'll start putting those in. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye bye for now. Hello, and welcome now to lecture 8. And in this lecture, let's go ahead and start building our ground floor walls. Let's get those into position. I think that'd be a really good start. So I think the first thing I want to do is go ahead and hide our front elevation. So I'll hide that. And I want to hide our first floor. So I'll hide that as well. There we go. So we've just got the ground floor. And actually now we can go ahead and hide our reference cube. There we go. So we just have our ground floor plan. Now this is just my preference, but I find this grid a little bit distracting. So I'm going to go over here to Viewport Overlays. There we go. And I'll turn off Floor. There we go. And then for now, we'll hide that grid. Okay, so what do we do next? Let's create a new file. So I'll click on here to Collection at the top. And I'll click on this New File button. And I will name this Ground Floor Walls. There we go. And that's it. That's our ground floor walls. Or, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm just going to rename that. And I'm just going to call that ground floor. There we go. So I'll call that ground floor. And now I'm going to create a subfolder. So with this still selected, I'm going to hit this little icon again. And in this one, I'm going to call this ground floor walls. Let's keep this nice and organized, and that's fine. So now with that actually selected, I'm going to press 7 on the numpad to get us into the orthographic view. And I'll go back up to Viewport Overlays, and I'll turn off Grid as well. There we go. And now I'm going to press Shift A and Mesh. And let's go ahead and bring in a cube. And as you see, because we had the ground floor wall selected, the cube has come in that file. So with that done, let's just grab the arrow here on the red arrow and bring this over until it's over this wall, just like this. Okay, I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to press down Shift, hold down Shift, grab the middle mouse wheel and drag the whole thing over. I'll just center that a little bit more by eye. And I'm going to scale it down in the X-axis. So I'll press X and just bring that down. Scaling it down in the X-axis. There we go. That's perfect. I'll zoom in a little bit and just center that. And that's good. So now I could scale it up in the Y-axis, in the green axis, until it flushes with this wall here and this wall here. So I'll do that. I'll press S and Y and just go ahead and scale that up. There we go, that's cool. Let's zoom in on the bottom, so I'll scroll in, press down the shift button and press the middle mouse wheel and just bring the plan down and then have a look at that there. And maybe I'll just grab that and take it up. So I'm going to press G and Y and then just take this up a little bit like this. There we go. We'll go to the top and see what we need to do. And maybe we just need to increase the size of this a little bit now. So I'll press the Tab key and I'll make sure we have vertices selected, which I have. I'll grab these vertices here. Make sure that we're in the move mode. Grab these one here now and just bring them up a little bit more. And that's absolutely perfect. There we go. That's good. So I'll tap out of edit mode for a minute. Just hit the Tab key again. And now I'm going to press 1 on the numpad to get us an orthographic view of it from the front. And I'm going to take it up in the x-axis until it's lining up with our ground plane. I'll press G and then Z and go ahead and bring it down a little bit. And there we go. That's perfect. So is our height correct? I guess that's the next thing we need to do. So let's go over to our reference images, to our front elevation, and we'll go and turn that back on again. And let's tap into edit mode. So I'll hit the Tab key. And now I want to grab this whole top face. So I could either click here on the face, or I could press 3 on our keyboard. So I'll go ahead and press 3. I'll grab this face here. Because it's wireframe, Blender actually just shows us a little dot to represent the face, so I'll grab that. And I'll press 1 on a numpad to get us the orthographic view of the front. And I'll go ahead and take that up until it lines up with the top. And as you can see, we're sort of over the line a little bit there, but I won't really worry. We're not draftspeople, we're not creating technical plans, we're creating a rendering, we're creating a visualization of the house. So we're lucky enough that we don't have to be absolutely millimeter perfect, and for us, for the work that we do, that's absolutely fine. So there we go. That is our wall to the correct size. I'll go ahead and hide this front elevation again now, and just have the ground floor plan on. Okay, so what I want to do now is create some loops in this, but now I think I need to go to a solid mode. So I'll press Z and I'll click on solid. So we have that wall in solid now. So what I can do now is press 2 on the keyboard so we can select edges, or you can come up here and click on this little bit, grab this edge here, and I'm going to press Control R, and then I'm going to just click on this loop and then bring it over until it lines up with our wall. Now we can't tell properly from this angle, is that lined up with that? And the only way to actually know is in an orthographic view. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to press 7 on our numpad to see this in the orthographic view. Scroll in a little bit and then just grab it and bring it down until it lines up. There we go. Now we can do the same on the other side. So I'll grab the top edge again, or any edge on this side, so that one, or the bottom, and press Control R, and then bring that over close to that wall. I'll press 7 again to get the orthographic view from the top, and I'll go ahead and bring that until it's level with the wall. And that's absolutely fine, just there like that. Okay, that's cool. So now we need to be able to select faces. So I'm going to press 3 on our keyboard, or you could use this thing here, that little box there. I'll select this face here. I'll hold down Shift so I can make more than one selection, and I'll grab that face there. And now that I've got both of those selected, I'm going to press 7 on the numpad to get us to that orthographic view. I'm going to extrude that out until it's level with that wall there. So I'll just press E and then just pull away with the mouse. Just pull those over until they're flush with the wall. There we go. That's all I need to do. That's absolutely perfect. So, we've talked about this before, about keeping the mesh as simple as possible when we talked about subdivision surface modifiers. And as we go ahead and model, we'll do the same. We'll just keep the mesh as low poly as possible and as simple as we can. So with that in mind, I'm going to delete, actually I'm going to just lose some of these walls, these edges here. Dissolve them is the word I'm trying to search for. So I'm going to press 2 so we can select edges. I'm going to grab this one, hold shift and grab this one, and grab this one, and this one, this one, this one, and now the same on the other side. So this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Once you've got all those selected, right click, come all the way down to the bottom to dissolve edges. And click on that. And there we go. Now we have the simplest shape possible, the minimum amount of faces that we can use. And that's perfect. So I'll tap out of edit mode with that and take a look at it. And maybe it's time to sort of correct our scales. So let's press Control A and then click on rotation and scale. And there we go. That's zeroed our scales back up again. So now I want to press 7 on the numpad to get us that orthographic view again. And rather than remake it for this opposite side, I'm just going to click on this one and I'm going to press Shift D and then I'm going to press X and I'm going to bring this over in the X axis to this side. Now that I've done that, I'm going to press R for rotate and I'm going to press 180 enter. So we've rotated that 180 degrees. And now I'll just pull it over in the x-axis. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. I'll just bring that over until it's over the top of the wall. And that's perfect. We know now as well that that's exactly the same width as this one over here. So the only thing that remains to do now really is to go ahead and take these faces back. So I'll tap into edit mode with this one. I'll hit the tab key. I'll press 3 on the keyboard so we can select faces. I'll grab this face here, I'll hold shift and grab this second face here, and now we need to go to the orthographic view, so I'll press 7 on the numpad and now I'll go ahead and take that back in the X and I'll zoom in a little bit on that. So I'm holding down shift and pressing the middle mouse wheel to reposition the screen, and I'll press G and X and just take this back until I'm happy, and there we go. So that's our walls. That's perfect. Let's check the scale on this, and the rotation's out, so we could go ahead and press Control A and fix the rotation in the scale, and there we go. So that's our walls done. Our ground floor walls are now complete. So in the next lecture, what I want to go ahead and do is start creating our doors for the front here. And they're like what they call pocket doors. So the doors actually slide into the walls. So we're going to create the apertures here in the walls, the holes in these walls for the doors to be able to slide into. And then if we've got any time left, we'll start making our doors. But there we go. So we've made a start. Our walls are now, our ground floor walls, they're in place. So let's go ahead and make a quick save. So to do that, rather than come up here to File and do all that, you can just press Control S and Blender will make a quick save on that. Okay, so that's it for this lecture, and I'll go ahead and see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Bye bye now.